And then there were 8. For the losers, it's a one-way ticket to the off-season. For the winners, it's one step closer to New Orleans, where the lights get that much brighter.
Call me Mr. Fantastic.
Welcome to the divisional round.
Good morning and welcome to the Hot Seat Podcast presents Football Talk Live, brought to you by Zeno Clothing. I'm your boy, Shawn Xavier, alongside DaStoreytella. Welcome back for another exciting edition. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. And if you're over on Facebook, I appreciate you guys as well. As always, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Hot Seat Podcast. Jump on over to hotseatpodcast.com. Become a supporter of the show by joining the Hot Seat Podcast Plus. Get 20% off your merch and dicing. Good morning, my friend. The other fellas will be joining us shortly. But, hey, that's what we're doing. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, man. I see I'm on this delay. I don't know if I got to come back in or not.
I feel like it'll work itself out.
We'll see.
Later. It's early Saturday morning.
All right. Yeah. But I'm good. What's up, Jay? Excited, man. Excited. That's how you know football is doing something, because I'm excited and my team ain't nowhere involved in this junk. So you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Are we breaking? Are we delaying over there?
Let me come back in real quick.
Okay, it's fine. It's if it ain't technical difficulties, it wouldn't be us. But we're gonna make sure we figure this out. I'm gonna stay with you guys though. But yeah, what's up, Jay? Yeah, we're getting going. There's some technical stuff that happens at times. It's weird. There we go. We're back in there.
Check.
Yeah.
Still delay.
It'll figure it out. Yeah, gotta love it. I feel like it bounces itself out once all the fellas start coming in and everybody's connected. I don't know. It's weird.
It's crazy.
But picking up where you left off, man, yes, it's an exciting time. More than what I'm here for, my guys in Washington. But it's an exciting time because there are so many exciting stories and narratives and stuff that surround this year's playoffs. You got the Chiefs that are going for unprecedented repeat that's never been done in the history of the NFL playoffs. You have two very, very old teams in the Detroit Lions and in the Washington Commanders, formerly the Washington football team, as we all know as the Washington Redskins. But that have been kind of like they've been going through it for like the last several decades, man. Detroit had years where they were 0-16. Washington just had the worst owner in history. We went from 100,000 seat stadium to one that, they scaled down to like 60-something thousand, sewage water pouring on people, all types of shit. Robert Griffin III ripping his knee up in the Seattle Seahawks game, not having won our first playoff game since 2005, 2006. It's wild, man. You got in Baltimore, they are looking to achieve something with a quarterback that is arguably one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Then on the other side, you got a team in Buffalo that have been to the big game 4 times in a row. We all remember those Buffalo Bills years. Believe it or not, they were a crazy crazy team. They just happened to meet up against the Giants, the Cowboys twice.
4 years in a row.
Yeah, 4 years in a row. That's wild, right? And then, you got the Texans, which an expansion team, which actually they used, they've been, here and there, but they have like their history is there. Then of course you got Philly, trying to go for their second Super Bowl with a team that most would say is pretty stacked talent wise. And then you got the Rams, which I believe you said it, and I agree with it, that the Rams and the NFC side, more so than the Chargers who got knocked out. And we'll talk about that. The Rams are the most dangerous team in this
Scariest
entire
team. Yeah.
Scary as hell, man. It's like they literally can beat anybody at any time. It just depends on who shows up, which Matthew Stafford shows up. It's wild. And if that Matthew Stafford shows up, don't nobody want to see that at all, man. It's wild. Mind you, and I know when we get the statistician on, I believe Matthew Stafford is one that has thrown for 50,000 yards or something like that. I want to say he's way up there. I thought he's somewhere around there. I may be off.
You talking about career stats?
Career stats. I think.
Oh, give me a second.
Yeah, I think he's up there, and 59,000, almost 60,000 yards he's thrown for in his career. Freaking insane, man. So it's gonna be a fun time, man. Let's just jump right on into it. I know before we get to the football side, we'll just do a quick recap thing because we got a big game outside of this is happening on Monday, man. We have the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. I feel like, I guess maybe it's being overshadowed by the NFL, or maybe we're just not paying attention to it. I don't see a lot of talk about the game.
I would agree with you there. Well, let's backtrack this a little bit before we go that deep into that discussion. Do you think overall it's been a good fit with those playoffs for the first time running heavily into the NFL playoffs?
No. It's not even remotely. I think the NFL has taken over so many spots. I think the folks who are planning this out, I think they gotta do a better job at navigating the energy around the NFL for the most part. Like, it's gonna be hard because now we got football.
That's every sport.
Yeah, we had a Wednesday. Yeah, NBA too. I mean,
remember we were looking at the WNBA and we were like, why are they having these games
right
but, on a Sunday?
You say it all the time, man. Football season never ends. I mean, that is our sport. It's NFL is an American sport. As much as they try to push it internationally, we treat our football like they treat football, soccer, internationally. It takes over everything. So, but I think to your point, them trying to navigate this year's NFL playoffs, the national championship game, it's been kind of, and I think they kind of fumbled this first year of this college football playoff because the games weren't really good at all. All of them have been pretty much lopsided outside of maybe one or two. It just doesn't feel the same. And I think with the whole breakdown of like the dissolution of the different conferences, I feel like you're not really buying into teams like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think they got a little bit of what they wanted because they wanted that Cinderella story. And right now, Notre Dame is going to be that Cinderella story. If you were talking about just the top 4 teams, you would never saw Notre Dame probably in the playoffs, things like that. So I think I see their reasoning behind opening things up and getting more of these teams in to be the Cinderella story in this sense. But it doesn't compete at all with the NFL. No, it won't. It won't. And that's any sport here in the US. It doesn't matter what's going on. Why do you think March Madness is March Madness? It's after the NFL is over. And then we're sitting there going, okay, what are we going to watch now? I told y'all before, I start paying heavy attention to basketball once the All-Star game happens. When is that? That's after football. So these are the type of things like, I think, I don't know if we're going to get into it or not, but I'm seeing how people are trying to figure out. I think Maverick Carter trying to figure out, what is it, the league over International League?
Yeah.
things like that. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's for like the NBA. Are they going to try to do the same thing, football wise, since they're playing these games internationally? So I don't know. We'll see how this whole thing goes, but there's only one NFL.
Yeah.
There's only one NFL.
Yeah, it really is, man. And now I know we're getting closer and closer to that horrible time of year when after the Super Bowl and you got that gap where we're forced to watch just whatever. But one thing, I know it's Football Talk Live. It's something, let's talk about this, something I know is near and dear to both of our hearts. Because this is what I will say, even when all this is, all overdone, and I don't want to rush it, but when, we see that last game, that being the Super Bowl, and then we're like, what are we going to do next? You and I, my friend, we have something to look forward to because it's going on right now.
Oh, I know where you're
EGL.
I didn't think you'd be bringing that up.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Just remember, it's football talk.
Yes, it's football talk, but hey, it tied I've never been so excited for something outside of football than watching.
Pulled this conversation into football talk. I cannot believe.
I did because we always talk about what is it after football. Football gets us ramped up. We get ramped up for the draft, and then we have those periods where we're like those dead periods. Like, damn, there's nothing to watch. We're watching basketball. We get around to the finals, okay, and then you may watch baseball, but that's not until later in the year, and then whatever. But golf, most people are like, boring. Well, Tiger and Rory decided, hey, we're going to create a league called the Golf League, where they built this massive golf complex down in Florida, and it's where it takes virtual golf to a whole
nother
level. And when you called me, it was like turn to ESPN. I think, you turned to ESPN, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up, I was like, wait a minute, this is happening now. And these guys, I mean, they built the whole green and everything else to where it, has like 600 plus actuators where it morphs itself to mimic the course designs that they, the whole designs that they created for these crazy courses, and they're hitting into the most accurate virtual golf simulator known to man. So when this is all said and done, that's what I'll be watching.
I got you. I'm not gonna go heavy into that conversation. I'll save that for the podcast.
Yeah, we will.
But yes, it is definitely awesome.
Yes,
and our new golfing brethren.
Yes. That's why I did it too, because I knew he was coming. That's why I did it. See, I'm always forward thinking.
Oh man! Somehow he pulled golfing into the football talk there, Gary. So be prepared.
Yep, it's ready. It's time to go, man. Let's get into it, man. Before we talk, we're going to discuss the games today, but we're going to also discuss some other stories around this. So last week we were talking about the most attractive or not attractive coaching opportunities, but there's one that's been all the talk this week, and I think we said what we said in the chat, but let's give our own little take on it, man. Unless you've been hiding on a rock, you see that they are pushing hard for Deion Primetime Sanders to land that coveted coaching spot in Dallas. And everybody has given their take on why this is a good fit, why this is not a good fit. And at the end of the day, I think most believe that it's just a big marketing thing. And then, we'll get somebody like Jack Del Rio or Ron Rivera, somebody to coach in Dallas. But what did you guys take on that, man? Is this a good fit for Dallas? And is this something you could potentially see happening?
What you got, Gary?
Potentially see happening? Sure. Like anything could happen. Obviously, there's that relationship that he already has with the owner. You know what I mean? So they have that dynamic there. Should it happen? Probably not. Because while they say it's a lucrative position, it's still the Dallas Cowboys. Like it's going to be so much chaos there. Regardless of two big personalities, it's just going to be very interesting. And then let's say that plays out, that he does go there and gets a job. Where's Shador going to go? Giants? Is he going to be playing coaching against his son twice a year? Like that's going to be some interesting dynamics there.
So number one, you could throw some of Jay's stuff. You got a heavy thing against Deion there, Jay. We're going to have a discussion on what's going on between you and Deion. I feel like he personally been to your house and did something wrong. So we're going to have to talk about that. But Do I think it'll be a good fit? Yes and no. And it's actually for one of the things that Jay actually said. I've never seen Jerry allow somebody to be totally themselves. I mean, I'm just being real with you. Like, he puts certain people in place that he has certain control over ever since. Think about the people that's been in place. These are all people that, even if they won other places, like McCarthy and stuff like that, he knew he could control McCarthy. He didn't have that personality where it was like, oh, this person's going to override me. Deion's going to override whoever and wherever he goes. Absolutely. He is the show. That's why they call him primetime. So I think an analyst was saying it best. Right now, when you go to post presser, like a conference after the game for Dallas, the first person you talk to is Jerry Jones. Not even the coach. You don't even go into that room. You go find Jerry because Jerry's going to say something. You think it's going to go that way if Deion's there? Even if Jerry's talking, those pressers are going to be like, nah. We're going to go see Deion real quick. We'll come back to you. We're going to go see Deion because that's that type of aura. So
that Jerry's ego is too fragile to have Deion when they take that light?
I'm telling you, I haven't seen it. Tell me where the proof is. Show me where it's been done. Yes, he's to a stage of life where it's like, hey, I just want to, be known for more for winning now than just the. I mean, his money is there. He's one of the greatest marketers of all time. I think about it. We're talking about Dallas, and they're not even in the playoffs. He's the master of that. He's the master of that. Yeah, we're talking about them more than we're talking about Detroit. We're talking about Washington. We're talking about Buffalo. Like all these teams, we're talking about Dallas. It's not even the all season. So he's the master of that. But who would want to go there and mold themselves to that? Plus the whole Shador thing. Let me throw something in there, and then you guys can answer on this. Let's say Shador goes 1, 2, or 3. No matter any of those 3. Deion says, if I come to Dallas, I got to have my son. You got to trade out Dak for whoever picks up Shador. You can't see that happening?
I can. This is what I think about this. I think that this will be interesting. I think it's an interesting thing because, for one, you have a potential coach who doesn't need Dallas. What I mean by that is, if you look at all the coaches who came and coached there, post Jimmy Johnson and them, all those coaches came there. They needed the head coaching position in Dallas. Deion don't need that. He don't. So in this case, Jerry needs Deion.
There's no need. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so those other coaches could never, even Bill Parcells, because he was beyond his years, but it's he had the cachet, but Bill hadn't done anything for a long time. So they can't talk to Jerry in that case was like, hey, I want this and then the other. Because you saw Jerry last week was talking about, hey, I'm the one who write the checks. It's like he's the guy. But if Deion go in there and say, Jerry, I would look, this is going to be about what I do here. I'm going to need you not to do the the post game talks, do the radio, whatever, but I'm going to need for you to do less. And then if Jerry was like, well, Prime, but I'm the one who owns the team. I did this. Yeah. How has that worked out for you? Because again, Colorado came up with the money.
He can speak to him in a totally different way than anybody else.
Yeah, because he don't need all those other coaches needed him. They all need anybody.
He's probably coming there. Hey, Jay.
Let me ask this though. So let's say he does go. How many years on the contract?
I think with them, I would say it would be some craziness like, hey, it's gonna be a 5-year, but it's really gonna be 3, and he has the option to walk away from it after that 3rd year. Because Colorado came up with the money to pay Deion. You don't think that they would be like, hey, what is Jerry trying to pay you? And those boosters, those guys, like, hey, we can match that type thing. I
think it's deeper than the money. He can get the money wherever he wants to go. I think it's the power. I think it's the control.
But I asked the question about how long that contract is going to be on a standpoint of Jerry's 82.
Yeah.
Is he going to last that contract to where Deion work with somebody else? So if it's a standpoint of trying to cement the next path, then I could also see that being a fit situation to where then again.
Yeah, but that person's already in the building, his son.
Yeah.
That's his son. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, that person you're already interacting with, he's already there.
GM? Not from a GM standpoint, though, right? Because right now,
well, I would hope not.
Right. Right now, Jerry is
someone learn.
So if he was to pass in the next year or two, now you're talking about new ownership, obviously his son, so on and so forth, but then they're bringing a new GM. So now it's going to be that conversation we were having last week. You got your head coach. He's going to be able to choose a GM. It's going to be a whole new era for Dallas, whether it's still going to be sucking the way it has been in the past, but it'll be something new under the primetime era. So that's another version of it.
Yeah. Gotcha. I think part of this, even though we always talk about how much Jerry is doing, I don't think his sons are that naive to that it's all on Jerry. I feel like his sons kind of empower him to do some of this stuff too. Like they got to believe it. I feel like they are probably doing or part of the same type of ideology that Jerry has. Because is it really that, hey, they can't go there and say, Dad, let's do something different? Or is he really that much of a control freak that he...
Can we pause for a moment? This man, Garrett, gets up, got the whole Lions gear, gets up, got the Jags pillow behind him. What's the 8 back there? What's that one?
Michigan State, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, got the Michigan State, got the Kirk. You go in there, you confuse the shit.
So much is happening. So much is happening. That's a good transition. That's a good transition, man. We don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm glad you brought that up. So we were just talking about the quarterbacks and everything else. There's only really 2 quarterbacks that they're talking about coming out of this year's draft. So, and there's going to be a lot of potential draftees coming up in this year's, potential free agents for this particular season coming up. Kirk Cousins may be one of them. So I ask you guys, pick your poison between these possibly eligible and potential starters for teams: Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Jameis Winston-ish, Kirk Cousins, and Daniel Jones. If you are a team they can't get Cam Ward or Shador, are you going for one of these guys? Or
Daniel Jones will not be a starter in the NFL. Sorry, I just had to put that out there real quick. So that was my disclaimer.
I have to get Jalen Monroe out there too.
Not the show biasness, but I do believe unless they retain him, that Justin Fields will be on a Giants squad. Russell Wilson, I think, is going to be exactly where he's at right now. Sam Darnold's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's going to be a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Because he's going to demand, even with the downfall the last couple of weeks, he's going to demand at least 40 plus. And the reason why is because of the other person you got on that list that I told you that's not going to start, Daniel Jones. If Daniel got 40 from us, Sam Darnold's not going to get paid less than $40 million to go anywhere. Right. So he's going to demand that. So whether he stays there in Minnesota or whether he goes somewhere else, you got to put that into accountability there. Jameis, I don't know. I really don't know on Jameis. Yeah, I really, and he lives up to that all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's just him. You can win with him, but you could definitely lose with him too. Yes. So you really don't know. And Kirk Cousins, that's really going to be on a him thing because isn't he still under contract?
He is, but they have an out. So, see, that's the thing. When they signed him, and I think I said it too, when they signed him to that big contract, that contract was really just front loaded and really just 1 year. They can get out of that after this 1 year. And if they cut him by, I believe, something like by March 1st or something like that, they don't have to pay him. It's like a $10 million roster bonus, something crazy like that.
Which is nothing for them. Okay.
Yeah. So that big, they gave him a lot of money up front. Yes. But really, they can get out of that after this season, man. I mean, after,
I'll put it this way. If he falls, Kirk Cousins falls in a way of kind of like a Russell Wilson thing where a team can pick him up for barely anything. He's another one that I could see in like a Giants or some other type of place that just needs that bridge. It's the fact of the money that he's commanded pretty much his whole time since leaving Washington. If he's still living in that type of realm with his agent, that buck kind of stops. So
yeah,
let's see. I don't know what y'all think.
So with Kirk Cousins, looking at the information out there, if they cut him, it's a $65 million dead cap hit. If they wait till 2026, that drops to 25, and then 12 million in 2027. So it's really more about how much they can tolerate from a dead from the cap with what they want to do with him. And obviously, if they trade him to another team, how much that team wants to absorb and that situation there. Kirk's situation, though, was just odd, right? So he went to Atlanta to be the starter. He looked good after week 3 and then fell back off. And so the question is, was he ever fully back healthy? Is he going to be who we've seen recently? Or is it just a down year and next year he's going to show out for whoever he's at, right? Because he's not going to be the starter at Atlanta. And I don't think that his agent or him wants to be a backup. He already got all that guaranteed money, so it's really never about the money for him because your team paid him well. Minnesota paid him well as well, right? So he has the money to just do what he wants to do. So it's not about that. I think he doesn't want to go out to where that's what you look at in his career, like having that bad taste in his mouth. So he still has something to fight for that. So I can see that happening. Jameis Winston, I think he's proven that he can be that backup, right? So if somebody goes down, I can step up, give that energy for a moment, but I can't be consistent for a whole season. It's the reason why they call him Mr. 40-40. Throwing up 40 touchdowns, but I'm also throwing up 40 interceptions, and that's consistently happening throughout there. DJ, I mean, they try to put that man red shirted on the practice squad. Like, it's kind of hard to come back from that. So until he got to prove it, right? So he has to do what Sam Darnold did, essentially go to another team,
somewhere and learn.
Okay,
sit in Minnesota and learn.
Yeah. Justin, I can see him staying with Pittsburgh, but I can also see him going anywhere else. But to what degree? Because even when he was there, it wasn't like he was wowing for those first 4 weeks. It was just he, and not in a bad way, but he was a game manager and didn't force anything to happen badly, right? Russell ain't necessarily winning any of the games. He had a couple good plays while it was still warmer out. Once that Pittsburgh temperature dropped down, his skill level just seemed to diminish outside of one big play here or there. His receiving core didn't help him out much there. So Russell probably is going to stay there as long as Tomlin's there. But, we'll see how that whole dynamic changes. Because if Tomlin goes, Fields and Wilson both gone.
Hands down. They're clean house.
They're tied together there. Yeah. Sam Darnold, you mentioned that like a couple bad games. I think it was just the last game, right? So just the game against the Lions is really where he kind of reverted back to himself.
He got exposed.
Yeah, the last you see all the full of the networks and everybody else showing, I told you what I thought. But they were praising him the week beforehand, right? And now it's just
he's good.
It's a shell of him for himself. So the question is, was that an anomaly to where he played a team twice who then knows what he's going to do? And then Aaron Glenn just said, let me just show up and show out, and you going FAFO real quick. And that's just why they lost that game type thing. And then again, followed it up with losing to the Rams because as it showed on the season, lose against Detroit, they lost against the Rams. Play them again, they finished the season losing against Detroit, and they got demolished by the Rams. So I think that
what they did was double Justin Jefferson. They said that's what Aaron Glenn
and that's it.
Took from him.
You take away my best weapon, my first read, then what's his next 2 or 3 things to go through? And if you put that fear in him already, which is what the Lions did, what the Rams did, he's moving quicker than he needs to. So he's not really going through his progressions that he wants to. So he's overthrowing and things of that nature. But I think the story is still yet to be told because he rewrote his story this year. Baker rewrote his story for the past 2 years, right? So there's still opportunity to say that he might still have something left to prove, like, hey, I can still do this. But yeah, I think that's pretty much where that goes to where I probably would say any team out here looking for a quarterback is still probably going to draft one. One of those top 5, like you said, Jalen Milroe, Cam, or Shador is their better option versus trying to take one of these veterans, unless they get that veteran to sit on the bench and kind of guide them on how to jump into
the bridge. Yeah.
For me, it's a lot of these quarterbacks. A few of these quarterbacks is the fit of them with the offensive coordinator. The Kirk Cousins situation down in Atlanta alone, he never fit the offense down in Atlanta at all. He just didn't. And coming off of that Achilles injury, I don't know how they thought it was going to work, but hey, there we go. the Sam Darnold, like I said, the Sam Darnold situation is going to be interesting to both you guys' point because he earned himself a contract, just not the contract that everybody thought he was going to get. Yes, he had all the praise in the world. He actually did pretty okay in San Fran and Carolina. But here's the thing: the knock all the ways on Sam Darnold has always been when things get really, really tough for him, as far as depression stuff like that, he starts to see ghosts. And I think that kind of started when he was with the Jets because they didn't protect him from the beginning, and that he never recovered from that. So he's good within the system. Crazy athlete, crazy arm. But once they start heating him up, and the Vikings offensive line isn't really as good as they thought it was up against pressure, then he started to like, and you saw what happened. It was so much so, like, especially during the I think it was during the Detroit game, I believe, when he was missing Jefferson wide open and Addison for touchdown, 21 points. Like that didn't have nothing to do with the pressure. Like he just completely missed them. So will he go from here? Like who's going to put up the money for him? I think this is the point, and to tag on to this, because it's funny because we started the conversation here and regarding Mike Tomlin, and I asked the question, will the Pittsburgh Steelers allow him to make it through a 5-12 type season? Because at this current rate, they would never get their true franchise quarterback because they're too good to draft one that high, and they can never really get a really good, above average free agent. Like they got what, Mitchell Trubisky at one point. They had goddamn what's the little boy name? They had a weird name, like it started with an M. Mason Rudolph. Did they draft him? Or they tried for Kenny Pickett, but that was a failure. They had you see what Russell is.
I think the Kenny Pickett thing was more so like a hometown pick though, too. Like, University of Pitt. So trying to have that story like, oh, he can come in here and do something. Right. But I think we'd also say, while we have not necessarily anomalies, but we have Jaden Daniels, we have these quarterbacks from this past season who are showing up. Stroud, 1-2 pick, Bryce Young looking better. History has also told us that those top 10 quarterbacks ain't necessarily top 10 picks for quarterbacks aren't necessarily the ones that's going to be out there showing out for the rest of their career. So the Steelers don't necessarily need to have a losing season to get up to that aspect. What they need to do is their GM needs to work some magic out there to get some right picks in to be able to trade picks up and trade up where they need to. But then they can also still find a quote unquote down in the rough way later in the draft versus that aspect, I think.
Yeah.
Also, small nugget when it comes to the.
I will push back on one thing that Dave said. Now, go ahead.
Oh, I said small nugget just because we're talking about Sam. Like Sam Darnold was the 5th highest passing yards of the entire NFL, right? So above Lamar, above Patrick. So you got Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Baker, Geno, and then Sam. 4 of the most yardage being passed in the NFC, which is also kind of crazy there. 7.9 yards per attempt, and also 66.2%. So like Sam Darnold, his stats for the season speaks to if the Vikings decide they want to go ahead and bring McCarthy up and let him be the new guy, that he's still worthy to be on another team. So I think his resume this season is enough to overshadow some of the craziness, even with the last 2 games being crazy. So I think he has a chance to be a starter somewhere.
Yeah.
No matter where.
Yeah. I don't think he will
start. Take him. I'm sure if Earl was on here, he'd be saying, yeah, I'll take him.
Yeah, true. I don't think he will. I don't think he's coming back to Minnesota, but I'm going to push back on something that Dave said because of what I just found out. If you guys haven't seen with JJ McCarthy, he's on his, I believe, 3rd knee surgery, and he may not be ready at the beginning of the season. I believe that Daniel Jones may start the season as the starter for Minnesota. I didn't say it was a good idea, but Kevin O'Connell is a great, great quarterback coach. I think that may be how that season starts for Minnesota because I think they will use the money that they don't spend on Sam Darnold to beef up their line and a couple of other spots that they are missing because they still have McCarthy on that rookie contract. So
let me tell you why I say no, even over just Daniel Jones.
Okay.
There's a certain player there in Minnesota that if you don't keep him happy, all hell's gonna break loose. And that guy is known as Justin Jefferson. And I'm gonna let you know that right there. And I'm gonna give you an example of something I was just having barbershop talk, real barbershop talk in the barbershop. Yeah, talking on it. You know my barber. He's been on the show. We're sitting back, going back and forth because he's a Dallas fan. You know, I'm Giants, and we were talking about different things. And one of the rumors out there for the Giants is, no matter what, they may pick Travis Hunter with the number 3 pick, because they're looking at the second round of going to get old boy, if he'll still be there, Milroe from Alabama, because Dave Ball likes mobile quarterbacks, and he teaches how to develop those. And I said, I hope not, because we got the diva status on our wide receiving core.
Yeah, true.
And Neighbors, if he hasn't proved to you this first year that he's going to voice his opinion and be out once his contract is up, that's the same type of thing that's a lot of different places. Talk to Jay about Tyreek Hill right now. Talk about Stephon Diggs wherever he goes. Yeah, these are great players, but if I'm not seeing my receptions thrown my way, you know what I mean? If I'm not the center of attention in that type of way, all hell breaks loose within these locker rooms. It is what it is. Not all stellar wide receivers are like that. Your boy's not like that. Terry's not like that. Nope. St. Brown's not like that. You know, they play their position. They do what they need to do. But certain people like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, we won, but I ain't get my 7 or 8. Look, like, what are we talking about? What are we talking? AJ Brown.
I would say get a book and read on the sideline.
You get what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
man,
you're seeing it all over.
Right,
that's the stage we're in right there.
Yeah.
And that's what you also got to look at too. So I just don't see DJ being thrown in a position like that. If they see that JJ cannot start, I think they're definitely keeping Sam Darnold. I think definitely keeping Sam Darnold.
I think while it's interesting there, we move on from after that. I think it's one of those things where I really do think Daniel Jones can end up being that starter, but here's the byproduct of that. I think what will end up happening is if he does get put in that place, because we kind of saw that with he was throwing a lot to what's the name before he actually got traded out. I think he will get there and he feel like he has no other choice but to throw to Justin Jefferson all the time, which means that now he's missing the Jordan Addisons he's doing. So he ends up playing himself out of the position.
That's what I'm saying.
But I still think because of the injury situation, I think he may end up starting the season. But
if he does that, though, I know you were talking about before I joined Matt Stafford, almost hitting 60K yards.
Yeah.
That could have him turn it into what Matt Stafford was doing for a good majority of his career. And that's Megatron.
Yep.
I'm finding Megatron every which way, and Megatron is making ways to be found. So if Justin Jefferson can be to that degree, you know what I mean? If he's that type of wide receiver, which we think he is, because he's setting every season, he's like the most in 4 years, the most in 5 years. That could be the situation here. Plus, he just signed that 4-year extension. So he's going to be in Minnesota at least 3 or 4 years until something else happens.
Yeah.
Before we transition, I was wondering, it's gotten real quiet with the Bengals. They still haven't done anything with Jamar Chase.
Oh, with Chase, okay.
Because they have to make a decision, man. Like, they can't. Of course, Burrow wants both of them back, but they can't pay both of them.
Him and Higgins.
And Jamar Chase, he got the triple crown this year. His base is going to be
why can't they, bro? Why can't they? The NFL got monopoly money. These teams got monopoly money. Why can't they?
Well, before you say, we'll go, Dave, most of them got monopoly money. The Cincinnati Bengals do not. So the ownership of the Bengals, they only own. Hello. The Bengals.
I can show you.
What you got to show us?
I'm not saying. Go ahead.
No, the Bengals only own the Brown family. They only own the Bengals. That's it. Most of the ownership in the NFL, the NFL team that they own is just a byproduct of whatever their other businesses are. So there is no other income coming into Cincinnati. That is why they end up having to sell the naming rights to Mike Brown Stadium to be able to pay Joe Burrow so they can put that money into escrow.
Okay.
So by them not having that other money, they got to put that money in escrow. So they got to make a decision. So do they pay both and still have a bad defense? Or do they get lucky in the draft, which they have not been too lucky on that? Because you had what? Hendrickson, he led the league in sacks, didn't he? Or damn near.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but besides that, they got no corners. I don't even know their linebackers' names. Defensive tackles ain't nothing. They need a lot, man. So they gonna have to. Best thing they can do is gonna have to trade away, maybe T. Higgins or something, and get some picks back to trade or something.
If they're even thinking about not paying Jamar Chase, there's a problem.
Yeah, I won't put nothing past cheap ass. I would put nothing past their cheap asses. Speaking of throwing, because we've been throwing all season. Welcome, Master Earl.
Oh, I thought you were about to say, speaking of cheap asses, his master. I was like, God.
Horrible.
Oh my God. Well, let's go into we have been talking. It's been all this talk about quarterbacks and receivers and such. But you know what's funny though? There are teams that still abide to the true essence of football, and that is run the damn ball. We have said it for each one of our teams at some point during the season, over the seasons, like, hey, run the goddamn ball. Why are we throwing here? So for all the nerds out there who say with analytics and everything else, which I completely believe that it's kind of watered down the game, 5 of the 8 remaining teams in the divisional round, they all rank in the top 10. That being Baltimore, number 1 in the league, followed by Philadelphia, then Washington at 3. The Lions are in at 6, and the Bills are right in at 9. And then outside of that is you have the Chiefs, the Texans, and I missed somebody else. Who's the other team that I missed? On the Rams are on the other half. So it proves that run the ball. You may be successful. You may have a good season.
By the way, to throw something in on all those teams, they all are two-headed monsters at the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Baltimore, you got to say it with Lamar. He's the running back with them too. Yep. Philly, same thing. Got the quarterback and got the running back. Washington wise, you got the quarterback, got the running back. Detroit, you got a two-headed monster. And then Buffalo, you got a two-headed monster between the quarterback and the running back. So it's that dual threat type of thing. Like not only do I need to stop the run, who is running? What's going on?
Right.
And that's the thing about those.
So my question to you guys is, which team is going to have the best day running this weekend? And it could be even the other 3 teams that ain't up there between the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Rams.
No.
Team or player?
I'll say team, because for today's point, you have a dual threat as far as the quarterback and the running backs. Except outside of the Detroit case where they literally got two running backs. But outside of everybody else, which team do you guys think is going to have the best day rushing?
Detroit.
Should be Baltimore.
Should
be Baltimore. Notice what I just said. Should be Baltimore. But if not Baltimore, they don't play to their strength, which normally happens around this time, then I would say Detroit.
Yeah.
Question on Detroit, though. Let me throw it towards Gary's way, since we're bringing up rushing. Do you think Montgomery's ready?
I said it earlier when I was taking that shot of Fireball Blazing Apple, brand new. ABC just put it out there. So if you haven't had it, go ahead and try it. And I hate Fireball, so I had to try this. I'm like, I can actually drink that. It doesn't taste like cough syrup and battery acid.
Robitussin.
That tussin, you know what I mean?
That tussin on there, boy.
And what I said was, you stay ready, so you don't got to get ready. There's a reason why he didn't go into IR, right? There's a reason why they didn't say, you need this season-ending surgery. Because when they looked at everything, it wasn't as severe as everybody thought it was. So it was like, if you rest, you can get there. I have to believe between MCDC, Aaron Glenn, Brad Holmes, GM, and even within himself, he ain't put himself out there if he ain't ready and not worried about it. Because nothing worse than a player up there not playing with that full mind in it, right? And so if he's worried about an injury,
especially at that position,
Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins probably still thinking about the Achilles. So I think that he's out there, he's gonna be ready. Is he gonna get that same number of plays. They're probably going to slowly bring it into it, but as soon as he let that first hit, somebody fall off of him, we'll see what happens there. But I think he's ready because he said he's ready.
Got it.
What do you think, Earl?
I think it's going to be Detroit. Like I said, they got the two. What up, yo? They got the two-headed monster. I think Montgomery is ready. I mean, to be honest with you, ain't nobody 100% at this stage in
that's true.
In the league.
Right.
So
that's true.
I think
we got the earliest bye week for the Lions. So yeah,
true. You know what I'm saying? And he's been out for like 4 or 5 weeks, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, he actually has a little bit of an advantage than everybody else because he got time off to to heal. So whatever, if he's 50%, the other 50% will be held up by adrenaline. You know what I'm saying? And because
it's that time.
It's that time of the year. It's go time. And trust and believe. I mean, I don't know him, but I know that what I will say that I respect about Detroit is that they seem like they are one, like it's really family oriented. And I know that, and he knows that if he's going to be a hindrance or a handicap to his team, he wouldn't be out there. So
that was the one thing,
So
it's not like they haven't proven that they can't win without him. So.
Exactly. So I think at the end of
running
the
back
day,
room is all love.
I think the whole team is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But just from a standpoint of like they're not all about individual stats, even though the individual stats show up. They're really all about, like you said, it's the team mentality. But I was thinking earlier, and I thought about it a couple weeks ago with you and Dave. They remind me so much, like this whole Sonic and Knuckles reminds me of y'all Thunder and Lightning. True. And that dynamic then was a beast, right? You had that power. You know what I'm saying? Out there with Ron Dane doing what we got to do, and then Tiki just taking care of everything. So Sonic, aka Gibbs, is out there just smoking folks out here playing Madden. He playing Madden on expert, everybody else on rookie mode. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So
it's true.
I know we ain't got the Lions game yet, but that's to answer your question. I think that we're gonna have a good showing on the running, but I'm concerned as far as your pick with the Ravens because when we look at that weather out there, it's a little bit frightful what's going to be out there tomorrow. We're talking about 19 degrees, going to be a little bit colder than that with the wind chill and it's snow rain.
They away?
I don't know. In Buffalo?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want no stadium. Ain't that what you said last week, Shawn? They don't want no dome.
Yeah, they don't want no dome. Damn that. Don't need all that.
Do some WWF stuff and do some tables.
I'm surprised that no one mentioned this team. The team that should have the best day rushing tomorrow is the Eagles. They have the next to the Ravens. They actually may be better. They have, and Super Paul, before I say this, they have the biggest O-line in the entire goddamn league. Like if you look at I don't know if you can pull it up real quick, Gary, but if you look at the average physical attributes of their line, I think they are roughly averaging like what, at 6'3", 6'4" across the board, and we're talking about 330 plus. Like they got tackles playing guard, which is insane. I know Falalele, I think you saw how you say his last name for the Ravens. He's 6'8", 380 or some craziness like that. But the Eagles have the most imposing offensive line in the entire league, and they have the league's leading rusher, and they average about 4.9 yards per carry. The only team that has a better per carry yards per them is actually my Commanders, and then after them is the Ravens. But they should.
So the Eagles got about 1,053 pounds, all of them put together, all over 6'6".
Damn, so I was underselling. So yeah, that alone should make for a great day of rushing. But we also know that sometimes the offense in Philly, they stop doing stuff, like stop giving Saquon the ball for some weird reason.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, to some degree, I agree. Like they should be, right?
Right.
Are they? No.
It's a big should.
I really feel like I don't know. I don't think Philly's offensive coordinator knows how to really use all of his weapons.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right.
Yeah, I feel like Detroit, what's his name? Jones?
Right. Ben Johnson.
Yeah, Ben Johnson. He knows how to do it. He has a lot of targets and everybody eats. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to the point where you don't see nobody crying, nobody bitching. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody's eating. You know what I'm saying? So even with the two-headed monster in the backfield, like everybody eats. So I really don't feel like I don't know what they're going to do, because I also feel like too, when they get behind or it gets a little crazy, it's or some people over there bitching, got to read books to calm down and shit. Like, they go all over. It's all over the place. So,
Girl, to your point though, it should be the Lions because they have the best offensive line in the league.
I think so.
According to PFF, they're the number one offensive line in the league. Followed by the Eagles, Indianapolis Colts, Cleveland Browns, shockingly enough, and then the New York Jets. So they are number one according to PFF as far as the offensive line itself.
Shout out to Aaron Rodgers.
PFF is a joke.
Yeah.
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's
leave Aaron alone. He over there doing some Hawaka whatever.
The fact that they put the Browns and the Jets in there, I question the validity.
I don't make the stats up. That's PFF. I'm just saying what they're saying.
Well, actually, the Browns' offensive line has been good for years. It's just who they had playing quarterback, which is wild, man. They that's them.
Running back
here's something that you could have mentioned there, Shawn, for yourself for backing up what you just said, though. Eagles definitely got the right running back there. And then also the fact of Hurts. But here's another thing. The Rams rush defense ain't shit.
Yeah. That's the other part. That's why I was saying they should be.
They're ranked 26.
Right. And again, who plays on that defense? Because we said it last week. I don't know none of their names at all.
I mean, they do what they need to do, but as far as that pass rush, but on
the running
them wise, yeah.
So it's and it's gonna be cold. You remember you taking a team that plays in the dome, and they're coming out there to play in Philly. It's gonna be chilly. You should have a big day, but
look at you trying around.
Yeah,
bars.
Let's see what they're there. Our last thing to talk about, man, before we move on to actually breaking down the games, is something that is not being talked about right now because how their season went, but it is going to be a topic of discussion. And that is one, Mr. Irrelevant himself, to Purdy or not to Purdy. Are they going to pay Purdy, man? Like, are they not, or are they just going to move on? What they going to do, bro? Like, what you call lightning in a bottle. You got the literally last pick in the NFL draft as a quarterback, and he ended up being your starter and playing in the Super Bowl, right? No, they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Did they make it to the Super Bowl that year? I'm confused. Or was that just the NFC Championship?
They went 2 years ago.
Okay, right. But I think he got injured, right?
I don't know if he played. I don't remember if he played, but they went 2 years ago.
It was that the year that they had no. Well, that was the NFC Championship game. I'm thinking about when they had no quarterbacks. But I think when they went to the Super Bowl, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, that was Brock Purdy in charge of that team, right? Playing against the Chiefs. Right. Yeah. So do they pay this guy? I mean, or do they not?
You're talking about last year, right?
Was it? I thought it was 2 years ago.
I'm tripping.
Trust me, it was last year. We ain't got to say why it was last year, but it was
last
year.
Because they beat y'all.
Yeah. I wasn't being funny. I still remember.
Yeah.
Hey, we ain't got to say it. He's like, oh, yeah.
Hey, man, we ain't got nothing to live for. So right now, we got to get everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, are they going to pay him, man? Or
I mean, I guess the question. Let me pose the question. Should we know what we think they should do, but like what Dave was saying, like what is the other option? I mean, they're not gonna have nothing high enough, a pick high enough in the draft. They really are banking on this shit where they saying it's the system, it ain't the quarterback. But if that was the case, then that means you could put anybody in there.
Welcome to the Daniel Jones sweepstakes. Oh, you ain't got nothing else going on?
Right.
You gotta pay me.
Right. So if they don't, I really don't know which way they're gonna be moved because it ain't too much out there. So if you ask me, they ain't got no choice but to pay that man. Give him what he want.
So according to Shawn, Daniel Jones is gonna be the starter for them.
Fool.
For the Vikings, I think he's gonna start.
Oh, you're bugging.
Right.
So where's Sam Darnold gonna go?
He's not coming back to Minnesota. I don't know where he's going, but I think
Why wouldn't he?
Because the amount of money that they're going to pay, they will have to pay him. In that case, because someone else is going to outbid them for Sam Darnold, because teams do that shit. That's just weird.
They got like 6. Well,
yeah. Here's the thing with Purdy, though.
What? So Sam Purdy has the 11th pick in the draft this year.
Do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So with that 11th pick, like There's enough quarterbacks coming out in this draft class. I mean, they're not going to go Shador. They're not going to get Cam. They likely ain't going to get Jalen Monroe either. But you still got
they could get him.
Quinn Ewers coming out. Kyle McCord over there out of Syracuse. And Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon, right? So he stayed back a couple of years. And he didn't show up against Ohio State.
And Dart from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
The trash ass dude from Florida State.
Oh man, that's dirty work there. Here's my thing to that, Gary. When has this regime with Kyle and them, have they proven that they're able to find a solid quarterback in the first round? Somebody call Trey Lance real quick. Like they haven't.
They also got Mr. Irrelevant. So they've done the worst in the first, and they got the best in the last, but that doesn't mean they can't try again. I mean, Riley Leonard is also coming out from this whole championship game, so they have a few options to go in there to where they may not be the top pick of quarterbacks. They still might do well for them in San Fran. Yeah, I mean, it's a system, like you said.
Here's the issue for them: they pay Brock Purdy, okay, but they got other issues. They need offensive line help. Trent Williams is like 38, and he's constantly injured. He ended the season injured. Christian McCaffrey might be done, bro. Debo, you just paid Brandon Ayuk. Their secondary, like that window is closed on San Fran. Like their
Debo
window
is one of the worst people to bet on.
Got that right.
Ever. I'm trying to listen. Anybody that bets, bro.
Got that
Debo is. I'll tell you a couple of them. Debo and Hurts, two of the worst people to ever bet on if you're betting.
Oh, Pickens too.
You have no idea.
Don't get me started.
No idea.
You got Pickens.
But if y'all know that, why y'all betting on them?
I mean,
because
Hurts always drags you in. Hurts always drags you in. I done scored 50 touchdowns in a row. And then that's the game he throws it.
Yes.
Jaden Waddle. I'm gonna add him to that.
Caitlin Clark,
Stupid.
That is hilarious, man. Quick note. If you guys hadn't saw already, new coach of the Norfolk State Spartans, Mike Vick, man, he has flipped one of his first transfer folks. So
bro, I thought you were about to say that he went to U. Okay, my bad. I thought you said he went to USF. Okay.
No, so he actually flipped their 3-star, 4-star quarterback, man. Israel, I forget his last name. Israel Carter is actually coming to play for NSU, man. I mean, so he was pretty talented. He had a lot of offers, and he got caught up in like a little bit of a quarterback controversy out there. He had a good showing, a couple of games that he played, but he's coming to NSU, man. So, hey, Vic is already putting his thumbprint on the team, so I'm excited to see how that goes and how long that goes out there. I think his tenure there is going to be a lot longer than what Prime's is there. But I would love to see Norfolk State really get to the top of the MEAC and the guys compete. Kind of like going like way back in the day. So that's pretty dope. All right, guys, I know what you came here for. We came here to break down some games, man. This is the Hot Seat Podcast presents Football Talk Live, brought to you by Zeno Clothing. So make sure you guys go check out ZenoClothing.com for all their dope apparel and such. All right, first game of the afternoon today, the 4:30 game. They're not giving this game no love. That's why they gave them the worst slot. Texans at Chiefs. After last week, I thought I was going to end up seeing a Chargers-Chiefs matchup, but Justin Herbert threw up all over himself, much to the chagrin of one Jim Harbaugh. I know he had to be hot, but he might be operating in Trevor Lawrence territory, but that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that later. But Texans, though, they showed out, man. The defense showed up. CJ looked a little bit better in the second half, at least. But they're going to go up against the Chiefs, who now have a pass game. And they got Hollywood Brown, which I didn't know he was still in the league, to be honest. They just look like they just cooking, bro. What y'all got on this game?
I'll just do mine first because this will be pretty simple. You won't have to ask me about the AFC because the Chiefs are in it. I'm not betting against them, and I push back. There you go.
What you got, Earl?
I agree with brother David. Patrick Mahomes. Fuck the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is playing. That's who I'm betting on.
Yeah. This is when Jones wakes up too, by the way.
Facts.
Yeah. Chris Jones gonna light his ass up. What you got, Gary? You ain't got pretty much to say nothing on this one.
No. I mean, because there's not really much to say. I mean, any given Sunday can always happen. But they're playing in Kansas City. Now, granted, they got their own little winter storm going on down there, according to people who are in the St. Louis area. So you got that dynamic there, but it's home for them. They should take it, probably win by double digits, 12 points. But hopefully the Texans
the line is 9 right now.
Yeah. So just looking for something to be entertained by before the next conversation. But Chiefs gonna take that.
So all I gotta say is yes, Kansas City. I'm just glad that these guys gonna be able to play a game where people ain't gonna die in it. And what I mean by that is, was it last year or last?
What is going on?
Hold on. Let me. I think it's last year before last, when it was one of the coldest games on record. So much so that Patrick Mahomes' helmet cracked in that game. Like it wasn't somebody. Didn't someone get treated for frostbite? One of the players. I know fans did. I think they said 2 or 3 fans had to get treated for like severe frostbite.
That's why they moved that inauguration in.
Yeah, but
that joint's indoors.
Sure, that's the reason.
Yeah. What? You talking crowd size? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Get the hell out. Yeah, that's bullshit. I was gonna say something, but we live. I ain't trying to get my door knocked on.
Right. That's why I just said we let that. That was the 4th coldest game.
What? This crowd size?
That was the 4th coldest game in the history of the NFL at -13.
Hey, you know what? I think on that note, I'm about to remove myself. I'll see y'all later, y'all.
Oh my God, man. No, I'm just glad they're gonna be able to play a good game. I think, but the low for the day, I believe, is 8 degrees. I think I saw on there. So we gonna find out, man. That is still cold to be playing football, man.
That game was -4 degrees, Shawn, with
crazy
wind chill at -27. So
that's crazy work, man. Crazy work. Let's get into the game of the weekend, and I think that's why they placed it as such. A little note. So I saw DraftKings had shout out to DraftKings too, man. I know y'all ain't paying us nothing, but I see y'all been following several of the posts and whatnot. I saw that. That was pretty cool. But I saw a stat on there that the Detroit Lions were the most watched NFL team this year. Second behind them was the Dallas Cowboys. So the tag was America's team. I think it was something like 22 million people viewed them, man. That which is dope. It's just simply dope. But I feel like this is the marquee game of the weekend. Arguably, they put it on primetime. They put it on Fox, which I thought was kind of weird. I thought we would have got like a who we gonna
say this? You said this is the marquee game?
I feel like it is because where they settled it at. Like they put it at 8:00 on a Saturday night. Is that not? Maybe
marquee game for Saturday. I would say the marquee game.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, I'm about to say it's hands down the Bills and Ravens.
Yeah.
I know y'all.
Well, that's why they got the last game.
Yeah. I say it like this though because I believe that when the numbers come out, the viewership may be comparable to both, if not maybe edging on this game tonight. I'm assuming they're going to have Tom Brady and whoever his person's calling it, which I don't feel too good about that. Like that may make this game not watchable. I'm going to have to turn it off in my ear so I can just watch it because something. Bring back Joe Buck or something. Give me a buddy from the Panthers. I forget his name. And they demoted him because Tom came out there. He was the tight end. I forget his name. I'll think about it. I'll think about it at some point. But in any case, the Lions are -9 going into this game. There are so many reasons why Washington won't win this game. It's just one, you're going up. The level of competition that you're going up against is insane. The crowd in Detroit is going to be bananas. And the scariest part of this whole game is the fact that not even the running game per se, it's that young man, Jameson Williams, because our corners in Washington are ass. And if you ever watch Jameson Williams take off, if you are flat-footed and he is within 5 yards of you, your ass is done. It's just a wrap. Just go ahead. As long as Jared Goff get it out there, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, man. But this is going to be something that's interesting that the statistician himself put out there, which I knew was this part. I don't know if it's going to mean anything, but you have the best pass defense in the league this season. You got Titans, Eagles, 49ers, Commanders, Jets. What does that mean for today? From a football standpoint, and I'll pass it to you guys, there's no pressure that we can get on Jared Goff because our defensive line isn't that good from the edge rusher standpoint. The only thing they could do is change what Jared Goff sees before the snap and after the snap. Pretty much bait him in because he loves throwing across the middle of the field. If you can get him to throw into spots where he thinks nobody's there and turn him over, it's fine. If you get a bad Jared Goff, you might have a chance. But besides that, good luck, buddy. But I just want to go by there. They play hard, man, and hey, just don't let it be close in the fourth quarter because it'll be a lot.
So you picking Washington, right?
I'm picking Washington. I'm picking Washington. I am picking Washington. But yeah, if the game is tight in the fourth quarter at any point, it's gonna get really interesting for some folks.
I got Detroit.
Yeah.
Another one I don't have to say much on.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious who I have. I will give a small fact check to something you said earlier before I was able to join. We've only had one 0-16 season. It hasn't been multiple years of 0-16 for these Lions. We'll like the Cleveland Browns got the other one. But to that degree, like this team is on a magical ride, and we all here for it. I mean, so I expect that they're going to come up and show out. Waymo's going to do what he needs to do. We got Montgomery coming back with a little bit of knuckles doing his thing. Sonic, Jameer, steady going through that. And everybody's chanting Jared Goff. I don't care if you're in a Lions field, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to the Little Caesars Arena, if you're going to go to where the Red Wings play, no matter where they're at, you're hearing Jared Goff chants just randomly in places. So he has a lot of backing, considering he was supposed to be the bad trade, right? We let the Rams have Stafford, and so we got the lesser of the deal, and it's seeming like it's going to come to fruition to where actually that might be arguably one of the best trades in the history of the league, to where you have two quarterbacks getting traded to two different teams, and they both end up winning a Super Bowl. Knock on wood that happens for the Lions this year. So picking the Lions, I expect much from it. I'm debating on where to go to watch it because y'all Commanders fans are interesting out here, bro. So I don't know if I want to go out and show out or if I want to just chill out with some people and just like do it copacetically. But either way,
I will add this to what y'all been saying. I think the difference in the game, honestly, is that Washington is probably a year removed from this being that marquee game that Shawn was leading to earlier. And the reason why I say that is because while that feel is there, while that grit is there, while the regime has changed the culture, hands down, I give y'all standing ovation on that. This is not a fluke to me. I think if I just go down the line and down the list of players and everybody that's in there, I think defensively it's going to be decided. And I just don't trust y'all defense all the way to that point. If it came down to that. It's and the impressive thing that people are missing, I know you're not missing, Gary. The impressive thing that people are missing is we're still talking about Detroit in this regard, and half their team is not there.
Yeah.
You know who else proved that to you? The Dodgers. Half their team, like part of their team wasn't there. Their pitching rotation wasn't there, and they won the championship, the World Series. And that's what Detroit is reminding me of right now. Like, certain players, I'm like, oh, man, Hutch went, oh, God. well, this is gonna be a game. Oh no, let's just go get this person, move this person around, and then we just told you about the expertise of what Aaron Glenn did as far as playing Minnesota, and now everybody was copying it. It's like, oh, this works. Yeah. It's so impressive to me, that core, and I see it happening. No matter how hard it is for me to say, because I hate to see the future looking too bright over there, but I see it happening on that side. Dan Quinn put certain people in place to have this shining, where every single year during the off season, you're going to hear that your coordinators are up for head coaching jobs. That's how it's going to be in Washington. I can see that, but I just think it's about 1 year removed. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, they're the.
I know you have.
No, yeah, they are the Lions. They are the Lions. What, 2 years ago? I think it was. Like it was a year before last. Like you saw this from the Lions.
Like
the
game against Minnesota. Yeah, we were on a long losing streak. We played Minnesota. We flipped it, and after that point, we pretty much won more than 90% of our games. But I'll add to your point, Dave. One of the obscure things that I found in all these stats that came out here was, as bad as they talk about the Detroit Lions defense when Hutch went down, like, oh, they're porous, they're all this.
It's the game.
They're the only team in the league. The only team in the league this season that has held 4 different teams to 0 touchdowns.
Very true. Yes.
So that's impressive within itself. Like, to actually have professional teams going back head to head, and they can't get into the end zone.
How many times scheming. Get down there and not that's the correct scheming. Hey, I may not have those certain players there to cover this, so I'm going to switch it up and do what I know you could do best. Exactly. And this is how we're going to play. And that's real coaching and scheming. And that's what I feel is just a little bit different right now.
To your point, Dave, like, salute to both organizations, but I want to give a special salute to Dan Campbell. So everybody know Dan Campbell was a tight end. He was a tight end. And we talk about Ben Johnson a lot. Real quick for people who don't know. Ben Johnson was promoted. He was a tight ends coach. I was a couple of years ago in Detroit, right? And Dan Campbell promoted him to the OC. At one point, if people don't remember, Dan Campbell was calling this offense. This is Dan Campbell's offense, and then Ben Johnson has brung his particular things to it. So for everybody, they always talk about they always do the kneecap jokes, stuff like that, because they kind of look at Dan Campbell like this big, dumb built guy who, look, to this day, I don't want to run up against him because I was like, he will beat the shit out of you. That's why I think his wisest players respect him, including Panay Sewell. He is a very, very, very smart coach. Don't let all that gruff and tough stuff fool you. Like, this is his offense, and he's playing the way that they used to play when he played. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be physical. Our linemen, we're going to run our linemen out on a quick, what was that? Little quick screen pass to Panay Sewell. We're going to do things. We're going to have fun, and we're going to play, and we're going to be accountable.
We're going to keep on going for it.
Yep.
And get Applebee's at the same time.
Yeah, we're going to flip on the other side, too, in Washington, man. Dan Quinn and them, they took a team that last year all you heard about was Ron Rivera and the culture.
Who isn't small, by the way. Go ahead.
It's not at all. And they get out there, man, and completely flip. Yes, we got the quarterback. The quarterback is the most important position. But he also got guys like Terry McLaurin and those guys to buy into something where they've been in an organization that ain't won shit. And they ain't been shit, except for shitting on fans with water, for like the last 20 years. And it's now everybody's – you got Bobby Wagner to leave the West Coast to come play in Washington. What? Which is, and now and he's still leading in tackles. And these guys, man, Jeremy Chin, Louvu, who got drafted by the Jets, then played for Carolina. They've turned him into like the, Micah Parsons Jr., meaning he ain't Micah Parsons, but they put him in that role. It's
you really have wide receivers that gonna want to catch from Daniels.
Bro, we got Jeremy Crowder. I mean, I forgot he got drafted by us, I believe. Went away, came back. You got guys out there that you would look at. Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was a cast off and he came back. So both of these coaches have done a hell of a job of turning around organizations, and salute to their owners who actually allowed them to do so. Because I think we all remember, Gary specifically, the Matt Millen years. That shit was horrible. Yeah. So
but say that part again.
Yeah.
Ownership that allowed them to do
their job.
And that goes back to the beginning conversation of the whole Jerry Jones and all these other type of franchises. What is going to be allowed? Pittsburgh, what is going to be allowed? Why don't you just make that dominant trade so you can go get the quarterback? So these are the type of things.
I mean, y'all got who's your ownership group? You got Magic and what's the other guy's name?
Well, you got Josh Harris. He's the majority partner in it. And then you got Mark Hines. All these guys are from DC too. They grew up during the Redskin era. They are true fans. And the bread is long. It's stupid money.
Money's
I like Brown in Cincinnati. Stupid. It's stupid.
Get that stadium right so I can go. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's coming. It's gonna be.
Put it in DC so I can actually call y'all the Washington football team.
Hey! You don't actually have to play in the state. You know what I mean, my brother?
you at least play in the district. Like, no.
I mean, we can see the skyline. You know?
All right, Jersey. See, I wouldn't even talk about y'all Jersey folks, but yeah, like the Jersey Giants out here. Yeah.
Let's get into it, man. Oh, it's gonna be a great game. The next game for tomorrow, the Rams Eagles. This is going to be the most interesting game from a standpoint of the Eagles can fuck around and get upset in this game. There's a high probability that it may happen. It depends on which version of Matthew Stafford shows up. Because they got their receivers out there, and their defensive coach and their offensive coach for the Rams, McVay, man, he's in his bag. And I feel like he's going to outcoach Philly tomorrow. Thing is, talent may win out because the defensive line is really, really talented. Offensive line, we just talked about them previously. But the Rams upset the Eagles, and I'm picking the Rams because I trust the quarterback in LA more than I trust the quarterback in Philly. And I trust the coach on that side there. But they upset them. All that talk about Sirianni not losing his job, that's just going to get interesting. So that's just me.
Is Hurts 100%, or is Hurts even 70%? Like, is he truly back from that concussion injury, right?
He looks weird.
He wasn't as severe as Tua, but like, do we see him and him still playing, not even early this season, but what he was playing the year before last? Like, so Jalen Hurts hasn't proven to be that QB that was like wowing everybody. He lost Kelsey, out there centering the ball to him.
Yeah.
Tush push doesn't look the same, right? Because you don't have that body in front of you, that the QB of the O-line kind of running things there for you, right? So I don't know if it was called an upset though, right? Because they both have great wide receiving cores. They both have, good quarterbacks. It's going to come down to that defense. When I look at the defense from last week, that Rams defense, 9 sacks, like that's putting that hurt, no pun intended, out there real quick. You got the defense for the Eagles. You got Slay out there doing things in the backfield, catching an interception. So I think this is actually going to be a coin flip, honestly. I really think so. I think the Eagles get the edge because it's a home game, but I'm going to take the Rams.
This is a tough one. I know we were talking marquee game, Bills, Ravens, and I know we were talking about also a marquee game for today being y'all's game. I think that this is a sneaky maybe game of the week game. And I don't even know if it's going to be a pretty game of the week because this is a coin flip for me. Gary led a little bit into what I was going to discuss. I think the one little edge up for Philly is because this is in Philly, and I think it's going to be bitterly cold. And I got to see how some of these Rams players look and how free it looks as far as throwing around. But Rams was my team that I told you that was very scary for anybody to play. So I definitely could see them winning. I have to go with Philly. The only reason I'm going with Philly, to be honest with you, I just think they're loaded for a game like this. That's the easiest thing I can say. I just think they're loaded for a game like this. If they play into their strength of just, hey, let me wear you out between running the ball between the tackles, between throwing these screens. Oh, you think you're going to hamper down on my run game? Let me throw a quick slant out to A.J. Brown or Smith and things like. They have so many weapons, bro. Mm-hmm. They just have so many weapons. I think they could just wear them out on that side. On the other side, offensively, they are just scary. Defensively, yes, they can get that rush in there as far as scaring the quarterback. but they didn't see the Philly line.
So
They didn't see Philly's line last week. I don't see 9 sacks coming out of
I'm
this.
glad I'm on here live though. I'm glad this is live, so
Good.
I have opportunities to go back and forth and let my mind just kind of flow with it. Jay,
Yeah.
make sure you send us your picks, Jay. Malik, if you hear this, send us your picks. But I'm gonna actually flip because as you were talking, I started remembering like it's still wintertime. We talked about the Buffalo weather.
Yeah.
It's a snowstorm coming through up in the Pennsylvania area.
And they're built for that.
Yeah, they're built for that. Which reminds me of Philly. So I'm gonna go with Philly on that one because of the weather. That home field is really gonna take advantage of that. So I'm taking Philly.
Gotcha. But that was my take. That was it.
It's gonna be a good game, man. It's gonna be a lot of pressure. Like you really, even with the weather, I feel like this is gonna be the game where you're gonna really have to coach, because you have it, to be honest. Like there is as crazy as it may sound, the Rams have a bigger uphill battle as far as what the talent discrepancy between the two than I believe than what Washington has. Just based on this fact is they are dominant on both. The Eagles are offense and defensive lines. So now, but the one thing they do have is that blitz gets to Jalen Hurts, whether or no weather. You remember, he's not good from the pocket. He will roll out, but that blitz gets to him and he starts pulling the ball down. And then, to Dave's point earlier, it starts trickle down here. All of a sudden, he stops looking at A.J. Brown, who may be getting open, but now he's not looking that way. Now he's looking at the blitz. So now you got frustrating there. So what he does is start doing those things where he's just looking for Saquon the whole time. And as great as Saquon is, you've seen a couple of times where in big moments, Saquon is kind of like hands like feet. So it's weird. And then all of a sudden, the coordinator starts to coach a different way. And after that, yeah, it's gonna be.
If the Rams win, I'm not gonna be in no big shocker mode. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. But I just think this game, weather-wise, is built for Philly. Yeah, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Oh, if this was in just a little bit of warmer weather, it doesn't have to be hot. Just a little bit. I would have picked the Rams. I would have told you hands down.
Yeah, true.
Hands down.
What's funny, all you mentioned was AJ Brown, but I mean, they got your former wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, out there. They got
Javonte Smith. He got first touchdown too. He got first touchdown of the season. I'm glad to see it. Glad to see
Devontae Smith out there, what I'm saying? So they have.
What's crazy about
four receivers that can catch a ball if Jalen decides to actually.
They got Goddard back.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, and see if you guys agree with me or not. Sometimes I be forgetting that Devontae Smith is on the Eagles because they don't utilize him like they should. He has games where he can go off.
Well, that's because Jalen sometimes doesn't throw.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Devontae Smith, if you want to come to Washington, if you want to come to Washington, when the quarterback ain't all in the video, and everything,
come death row.
All right, so I'm gonna set this one up right, man, because I believe this one is due. This is the game of the week, and for so many different reasons. So in 1979, this is a year before I was born, but when I was born, then I started watching the game. You had, at the time, two of the best, if not the two best basketball players on the planet face off against each other.
Oh, shit.
On one side, yes, you had Magic and you had Larry Bird.
His mama named Herbert. Yeah.
It was one of those ones where it sparked a time in the NBA where we often talk about Jordan, but these two right here, they saved.
Oh, they saved it. Yeah.
They saved the NBA. And so much so, it split a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of the country because all the black people they're going for Magic. All the white folks was going for Larry Bird, which if you know anything about Larry Bird, he actually was more on our side than the others. If you see some of those clips, they used to check Larry Bird with white guys, and there's an actual quote of him saying, "Who the fuck is this?" Y'all disrespecting me like that. Pretty much, man.
Yeah.
Yes, man. So, and it got played up for many, many years. So much so it actually sparked a really dope game that all of us played, which was Lakers versus Celtics in the NBA playoffs. EA Sports back in 89, I believe that was. That was pretty dope. That was the first NBA supported basketball game. This is a little gamer side of me. And for the longest time, the debate was who they wanted to be the face of the league prior to Jordan. I said all that to say this. This game coming up here between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. neither city is a big media city at all. The Bills go up against the two New York teams. The Ravens, they're in Baltimore. Sometimes people say, hey, they ask you, hey, where you from? I'm from Baltimore. I thought you were from Maryland. I said, yeah. Yeah, they don't even claim Maryland some of the time, and if you're from
Same
Baltimore.
way for the Bills.
Yeah.
Same way for the Bills.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, I thought you said you were from New York. You from Buffalo?
Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Damn near
It's the only New York team. It's the only New York football team.
Yes.
No, I hear you. I see that slight.
The conversation has been for the last few weeks who is deserving of the MVP this season. And for the last few years, they have been the NFL and everything else. They have wanted their great white hope in Josh Allen to be the face of the NFL, even beyond Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's just this guy. They want him out there. And, he's been kind of played second fiddle to Patrick, to Joe Burrow maybe, and more so to Lamar Jackson, who to this day is still the best running back I've ever seen play quarterback in my life.
Where's that cat at right now?
Right. Bill Polian, shout out to him. Man, this is a game where it's going to be all about the quarterbacks. I know they got players on both sides, but it's going to be all about the quarterbacks. Who's going to show up?
I got to take on that, but go ahead.
Is going to show up.
So, because you said that, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead. That's why I said that.
Fresh off of what you just said. Okay.
Yep.
I actually disagree.
Okay.
And that's the reason why. I know where you're going with it, but this is the reason why. And I was going to say this anyway, so it's a great, transition in.
Segue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A segue. On Josh Allen's side, yes, I think hands down it's about the quarterback. Hands down. He has the ball out for them to even have a shot to me. Mm-hmm. To me, for this to be a game. On the other side, I think it's a couple things that have to happen. I think Harbaugh has to play to his strength. I say this every goddamn year when we get to the point. It gets annoying to me how they switch up from what they've done all the way up to this point. Mm-hmm. Run the fucking ball. That's what you need to do. It doesn't take a genius. Don't get away from it. You have one of the most dynamic players. Forget quarterback. One of the most dynamic players on the field. Don't just leave it in his mind to scurry around in that backfield and make a throw that shouldn't be there. This is the playoffs. Okay? Some of those throws that you're back there for like 10 seconds scrambling around and then you throw across the field and it's a touchdown. Okay, you can try all those things if you want to right now. I'm trying to tell you, play to your strength. Hello, what did you go get Henry for? To go look? Is that what we're doing? To throw screens? Is that what we're doing? Give him the ball. I don't care if this man is averaging 1 yard for 3 quarters. If you stop giving him the ball, there's a problem because at any time, he'll pop it out there for 70 yards. Touchdown, win the game. It's over. Remember what you got on the field. Let him be a quarterback back there, but this is where they get away from their game plan. I think this is as much about Harbaugh and the game that they're calling over there as much as it is about Lamar not getting in his head and going over the fact of what this game is and remembering that they have goddamn Henry in the backfield. That's how I feel about that side. On the Bills side, Josh Allen has the ball out. He has the ball out. The defense has to show up, of course. Don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you right now, if the defense shows up but Josh Allen doesn't, the game's over. We ain't even having a conversation to me. It's a wrap to me. It's a wrap. But that's why I don't say, when you said just the quarterback against the quarterback, on each side, I look at it a little bit differently. With all that said, by the way, though, I'm picking the Ravens. Just run the fucking ball.
Before you go, Garrett,
go ahead.
It's funny. That's how I know you guys so well, because I framed it that way for a reason, because I knew what you were going to say, Dave.
I said it for 3 years.
And this is why I said it, and why this is going to come down to the quarterback. It's almost one of those points. I know they have the mics in the helmets now. It's one of those ones now where you ever watch a film and someone's giving you all this information, do this, do that, whatever, and then you see like the star of the film, they just rip the earpiece out, be like, shut the fuck, I'm just gonna do it. Both quarterbacks got to do that. Sean McDermott is 6-6 career-wise playoffs. John Harbaugh is 13-10. Sean McDermott and John Harbaugh have made some of the worst decisions in a playoff game out some of the most successful ones. So their quarterbacks, yes, to your point, Josh Allen has the ball out. But what I mean by that is when it comes to those points to where, hey, we need to make a play, and then your coach say some shit like for John Harbaugh, hey, man, let's throw a screen on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 instead of just running with Derrick Henry. Or in this case, Sean McDermott say, hey, we're not going to go for it here, even though you may have the Ravens on their heels. We're going to decide to punt it here. Bad decisions by the coaches will decide this team on either side. That's why I frame like that. Everything else you said is correct, but the coaches themselves, I need the quarterbacks to be like, you know what, coach, you ain't out here.
If Henry doesn't have 15 plus carries, there's a fucking problem.
I need Lamar to audible if he hears that coming in. That's a decision. Like I said last year, I'm like, are they not giving him the ability to do it? If they don't, take it. Say, hey, look, bro, hey, fuck what he just called. Hey, we running right here. That's what Russell Wilson.
It's 3rd and 1. It's 3rd and 1, and you telling me with those two people in the backfield, you throwing the ball? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Dude, we got you.
A few points. Number one, Dave. Found this today. Been a while for something to find it. Got that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
So they finally brought it down here to Virginia.
I like it.
Secondly, when you were mentioning that whole thing about the Celtics and the Lakers, I really thought you were going to go to the game Jordan versus Bird.
Yeah.
That was the game, that NES, that really had everything going to where you was making that choice thing there. Third of all, Jay, I hear you out there. This is definitely going to be a great game, Bills-Ravens. I don't think it's going to be better than the Super Bowl, though. If things play out the way that I think they may, and I know we're going a couple weeks in advance with this, but if the Ravens win today, the Lions win today, then I'm looking at that's going to be an awesome game between the Ravens and the Lions, especially because it's going to be a revenge game for last year, the way the Ravens just boat walked Detroit last year. I think it's going to be much more of a competitive game with a different outcome. I don't think that it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. I empathize with Lamar from a standpoint of his stats are so great this year.
Mm-hmm.
The best stats he's had in his career. Best quarterback stats out there, period, when you compare everything to everything. He's higher than Allen in every category.
Yep.
It reminds me of when I was in high school to where I was the number one student, but they still just said, you know what? The way we do things down here, we're going to still try to make you a co. I think that if they aren't able to find a reason to outright give it to Allen, they're going to try to do a co-MVP. Similar to where Barry Sanders got the co-MVP versus when he's supposed to have just the whole thing to himself. You know what I mean? So I take the quarterbacks away from that then and then say, really, it's going to come down to the play caller, but definitely which one has the better person in the backfield to do everything else. Cook versus Henry. I think right now, Henry, even at plus 30, is showing that, you know, just like a fine wine, he's got better with age and he's hurting folks. Yeah, so he's going to go out there. He's going to tell everybody in Tennessee, like, oh, y'all gave up on me. Let me show you what we're really going to do out here. And going to show up tomorrow, and that's just going to make Lamar play even better. I expect the Ravens to win convincingly. Close game, but it's not going to be one of those like, oh, crap, last minute type of thing or Lamar messing up. I think the Ravens win with a 3 or a 5 point win. So both teams are still doing what they do because the defenses are still, while the Ravens defense has stepped up as the season gotten on, it's still, again, a different quarterback that they're playing against. So I think the score will be closer, but I think the Ravens are going to take it convincingly.
I like it. The one thing that the Ravens, they took a lot of heat on earlier in the season. It was games where they didn't really use Henry at all. I get it now. I get it. They really didn't use him that much earlier in the season. And at the later part of this year, they actually started giving him the ball a lot more. So it kind of worked out. I like it. And, that was the thing where we thought he's going to be used too much. And then by the time he would flame out in the playoffs, not this year. So to your point, it should be a heavy dose of that. Now, I promise you this, if they start that game off like they did against Pittsburgh last week against the Bills, I don't give a damn what Josh Allen do. It's a wrap. It will be a absolute wrap because at that point, if they're on the field, if you're talking about you got 8-9 minute drives and they just and it's cold, and you've been sitting on the sideline that long. Hey, some of those, you got Florida guys over there too. Keon Coleman, I think he from the South. You got those guys. I know they play in Buffalo, but when you sitting there that long, and all of a sudden somebody hits you, and that eczema starts showing up, and that shit get ashy in this thing. No, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. I'm telling you, I got eczema. I'm hating my life right now. I swear to God. Yeah, absolutely.
You got some personal feelings coming up.
I do, man. I'm sorry. I gave it to my daughter too, and I feel so bad for the baby. She be scratching. I'm like, oh, gosh, but anyway, man, it's gonna be a hell of a weekend of football. I've never been this excited about just the playoffs in general and the storylines. One thing that I didn't know, I was looking the other day. So the quarterback coach in Detroit is none other than Mark Brunell. He was the last quarterback to win a playoff game in Washington. How crazy is that? And they also got Antoine Randall L out there. We have somebody else who actually used to coach in Washington, or used to play in Washington, who's actually coaching in Detroit now. It's really dope to see all of this happening, man.
Today's earlier point, Brunell also was a quarterback out in Jacksonville when he was calling on my pillow back there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mark's been around the league a little bit. Yeah.
I might look at that. That's pretty dope to see, man. But in any case, man, it's gonna be a fun season. When we get out here.
Who you taking?
Oh shit, my bad.
You never even said your pick.
My bad. I thought it was evident that I'm taking the black guy. I'm taking Lamar Jackson.
Oh damn, this guy.
Absolutely.
This guy here.
Hey, I go back with Lamar Jackson to Louisville. I will stand on this soapbox for the rest of the time that he's in the league, and then after that, I watched him
right there, Dave.
Yeah,
he was emulating Earl right there, like taking a black.
I watched him.
You staying with him, huh? Ravens against Commanders, eh? Got it.
Hey man, that man, listen. The amount of blackness that will be in that Super Bowl and you in New Orleans. Hey, look, there's
good thing that ain't happening.
Yeah, it won't. It won't. But for some reason,
there'll be a lot of blackness in New Orleans because Detroit travels.
Yeah,
and Detroit will show up and show out and hustle all around them folks.
I just want to make this apparent right now. If for some reason the football guys were like, you know what, they do this, it's not a lot of time you can really go out and do stuff. And I know a ticket to the Super Bowl is so crazy. Best believe it'll just be me because I only can afford one. My black ass will be in there absolutely. What? It'll never be the same. Baltimore and DC will never.
So you know y'all ain't going nowhere. Wow. So just there's a percent chance.
Now,
there's always a chance, but that's money that you can definitely save. I've been professional
the entire time. Gary has been sending me like threatening memes and stuff, Dave, the whole week.
No threats. No threats. I've been calm and collected all week. You have to put
I just saying threats.
You put out a post on Facebook earlier this morning, so I just had to say, you know what? Like, I hear what you're saying respectfully.
Oh, yeah.
We ain't never scared.
Gary said, I feel you, but you ain't getting on no roof after this game. That's what Gary said.
I'm still be on the roof. I might be in tears with a Terramana in my hand. Look, I tell you this, Gary, it's gonna go one of two ways. They lose, I'll be out there with a glass of Terramana, toasting up. Appreciate it. If they win, I got a whole goddamn bottle at this point. Hey, sir, just check on me later.
Nothing to lose.
Either way, brothers. Just like you called me after y'all actually got to this situation, we'll connect after the game. Either way, yeah.
There you go.
Unless you sleep, because the game might be going to like
it's gonna be fun, man. I'm with you guys. No, I'm gonna be up for this. I'm up. I've been waiting for this all week. I'm up for this, man. So salute to you guys, man. Appreciate you guys tapping in again. And again, after all this is over, because at some point the NFL season does have to end. We hope you guys will join us in April for our annual NFL Draft Watchcast, where we cover the entire first round. This year should be interesting because my guys will be on the clock this year, Dave and Earl. Really looking at seeing what the actual Giants are going to do with that number 3 pick.
That's us every year.
Yes.
What you talking about?
That's it.
We have an early pick for the last decade. So.
I'm just saying, man. Like hey, look, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see who you guys grab. If somebody do something crazy and y'all end up with Shador, gosh almighty, that'll be wild. That'll be wild to see. Cam Ward, yeah, but if you get Shador Sanders in New York, you can cancel Christmas.
Before we dip real quick, Shawn, I am curious to see on the pod, when y'all do your normal pod, what y'all take is on Unrivaled. Like, I didn't realize it happened yesterday. Apparently, they started the Unrivaled League yesterday. So, looking forward to hearing y'all take on that.
We're going to find out. We're going to look at it. Yep, it's coming. We're going to go in there. But that being the case, man, I appreciate the statistician there. He's like, Gary, Earl, name's all fucked up. Earl really dipped out. I thought it was like a little ploy. No, he really did.
He had to go bowling.
Yeah.
Oh, some shit. Yeah. He ain't even that good.
It real quick.
He ain't even that good. But yeah, that's right. Yo, it's the hot seat. This is Football Talk Live presented by Zeno Clothing, man. Peace.